And so when the angels of the Lord came to exact judgment on that city, he pleaded with them, he pleaded with them to stay in where? His house. Now compare that to how he started. He inched in and simply pitched his tents near the town. But now he had come in, and not only come in, he had settled in. And so he said, come in, because there's danger out here. He knew that. And they said, no, we'll sleep outside in the city square. But he insisted so much that, and so they relented and came in with him. Why? Because he knew that there was danger over there. And sure enough, the wickedness of the city was simply this. After dinner, before they were to turn into bed, all of the men of the city came. And they pounded on his door, saying, bring out your guests, because we want to have sex with them. Men having sex with men. Sounds familiar? Judges chapter 19, right? We want to have sex with them. And this is in a place called Sodom. And that's why the English now is sodomy. In Tagalog, sodomy. And it really is sodomy because in the eyes of God, it is wicked. It is vile. It is an aberration. And it is sin. And so the angels temporarily dealt with them for a while. But then the angels said, get out. They responded this way. Get out of our way, they replied. And they said, this fellow came here as an alien, and now he wants to play the judge. We will do worse to you. And what does that tell us? Lot had position, but he had no moral influence on society. And so the angels dealt with the people. And then he says, do you have anyone else here that belongs to your family? Warn them already about this upcoming disaster, right? And so what he did was he went over to the fiancés of his daughters, right? And warned them. But you know how they responded? It says this. The sons-in-law thought he was joking. Sorry about this, Carolyn, but I believe that if Pastor Peter were to warn Joel about something, he'll take it seriously. Why? Because Pastor Peter has moral authority and spiritual authority as well. But obviously, because they thought he was simply joking and brushed it aside, what does that say of Lot's witness? Lot had authority, but no moral influence on family. Right? And then the story continues. Well, let me ask you this. Was Lot ineffective because he was a bad person? Was he? No. Because the Apostle Peter writes, but at the same time the Lord rescued Lot out of Sodom because what? He was a good man. The King James Version calls him a just man. The NASB calls him a righteous man. So he was right in the eyes of God as a person, but something made him so ineffective. And you know why? He was compromised. His witness was weak. And somehow, because of what people saw in him, it did not influence them at all. What could that have been? Well, let's talk about it later. It says, with the coming of dawn, the angels of Lot said, hurry, take your wife and your 2 kids. But it says here that he hesitated. He hesitated. And so what does that mean? Lot had to be dragged out of Sodom. Him and his family had to be dragged out. And then it continues. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, flee for your lives, don't look back, don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away. Because it was the plains, and the angel said, go to Prayer Mountain instead. And you know what Lot said? No, my lords, please, right? I'm going to die out in the mountains. I'm not a mountain person, I'm an urban kind of guy. And so I want to stay near, if not Sodom, somewhere near where I can feel at home again. And so Lot was out of Sodom, but Sodom was not out of Lot. Right? It was still there. And isn't the same thing true with the things that we want to give up? You see it with people who are being warned to flee because the volcano is about to erupt and people don't. And then he goes, if your servant has found favor, and he was trying to manipulate them already, he goes, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared. It's like saying, Lord, okay, if you're going to destroy Makati and Metro Manila, and I don't want to go to Batangas Prayer Mountain, can I at least settle near Alabang Town Center? Or something like that. And so, isn't that true about us, of the sins that we need to give up? Here is the series. First, he hesitates. Then, he argues. Then, he negotiates. And the same thing with our sins, our favorite, our idols in life. When it becomes very clear what God commands, we hesitate. Then we argue. Then we negotiate with God. Right? You see, Sodom also had influence on Lot's wife. You know the story. Basically, in spite of the angel's warnings, she turned around and looked. Why? Because her heart was there. Her life was there. And so what had happened? She looked back and she became a pillar of salt. She became encased in whatever it is that God had caused in order to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. It's just like the exhibit of Pompeii. You see figures who are so encased in the fallout from the volcano that up to today it becomes a testimony, right, of what God had done to Sodom and Gomorrah. And then it goes on, Sodom also had influence on Lot's daughters. And I want to dwell on this thing. It says, Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar, and eventually they settled in the mountains. For he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to lie with us." Oh, there's no man here with whom we can have sex. And then it says this, as is the custom all over the earth. Now, is that true of today's society as well? It is par for the course. It is normal. It is accepted, for single people even to have sex outside of marriage, and even for married people to have affairs outside of marriage. Why? Because everybody does it. We see it on TV, we see it in the movies, we read about it in the papers, we see it in the billboards, and everything is okay. Why? Because everybody else is doing it. You see, that is the broad road that leads to the wide gate, and deciding that way leads you to destruction. That is the conventional wisdom of the world, and it creates tension in us, like it did in righteous man Lot. Yeah? And then it says this, "Let's get our father to drink wine and then lie with him, and preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went and lay with him. Is that shocking to you? But does it still happen today? Yeah. You see, again, it says, Lot was not aware of it when she laid down or when she got up. I'm reminded of a recent, over the holidays, the Lenten season, about this guy in Baltimore. He was beaten up, he was robbed, and then he was stripped naked, like literally stripped naked, right? By people. And the worst of it, they were so wicked that they took a video of him, of the incident and of him, and then they uploaded it on YouTube.